I'm here to start some fights, and I'm not going to apologise for that. Today we're going to have a little talk about book adaptations and whether the book or the adaptation was better. Now, I know this can be a controversial topic, so feel free to fire off in the comments below. Let me know when I'm wrong. I'm not wrong, but let me know when you think I'm wrong. And we're all going to get loud about our opinions for a second, okay? Let's start with which ones are better on screen. Which are the adaptations that are better than the book? Because I think that's important. I'm going to kick it off with Lord of the Rings, and I don't think many of you are going to fight me on this. And if you are, watch them again and tell me I'm wrong. Now, I'm talking about the Peter Jackson films because I can't think of any other adaptations because I know about the animated Hobbit. I'm not including Rings of Power in this because that's kind of like everything from like lots of different books. But if we're talking about Fellowship, Two Towers, Return of the King, Peter Jackson films are better than the books. Now, I am rereading the books just to confirm my opinion because it's been a while since I've read the books, but I did grow up on those films. So I'm slightly biased, and they've got a lot to try and like outdo if they want to boot the adaptation out of that like gold star trophy spot. Because he really does like to waffle on. Those books should have been edited. Heavily edited. But there we go. At least we have the films now, and the films are fantastic. The Mortal Instruments was better on screen. I am not talking about the shit TV show. That TV show was terrible. It belongs in a bin. It's bad. It's so bad. But the movie with Lily Collins, and I've temporarily forgotten his name, but the actor who plays Jace, Jamie Campbell-Bower, there we go. Fantastic. That was my Jace and my Clary. That is all I wanted when I read those books. I wanted those two people. Fantastic. Soundtrack. Fantastic. The fact that we didn't get a sequel, a fucking travesty. It will forever be one of my favourite movies, and there is literally nothing you can say that will convince me otherwise. Also, just some stellar casting in that. Like, Lena Headey as Clary's mum, and, oh good lord, what is his name? Mr. Werewolf who fancied Lena Headey, who is also in The Hobbit. Oh my god, Turner. Somebody, Aidan Turner, fantastic choice. Fantastic choice. Fucking Jonathan Rhys-Davies. Nope, that's Gimli. There's another Rhys. The guy who plays Valentine. Terrible haircut. Fantastic choice. Shadow and Bone. The series was better than the books. Again, we'll die on that hill. But to be fair, the reason the series, the TV show, is better than the books of Shadow and Bone is because they included Six of Crows in the TV show, and that is the only part of that world that is worth reading and consuming, in my opinion. Also, you had Ben Barnes in the TV show. I would like preface this part of the video to say that I'm a very visual person, but I have literally as many books in the book part of this video as I do in the screen part, so I don't think that bias is real. Pan's Labyrinth. The film is better than the book. Did you know there was a book? There is a book. The reason the film is better than the book is because the book came after the film. Now, it's written by Cornelia Funke. I don't know how to say that properly. Funke. And Guillermo del Toro. So, like, it's pretty good. But also the film is better. The visuals on that film needed to be seen on a screen. Like, you needed to terrify me with that labyrinth creature, with Pan. Pan is not as terrifying in the book, even though there are some lovely illustrations. The movie, I need to rewatch that film. I'm going to put that on my list. I need to rewatch that film. Much Ado About Nothing. Now, everybody under the sun has adapted Shakespeare in some form. I am specifically talking about this version of Much Ado About Nothing, because, again, casting, impeccable. Kenneth Branagh, Emma Thompson, Denzel Washington, Keanu Reeves, need I go on? And the acting is spectacular. I had never understood a Shakespeare play properly until I had seen that film. I will say it's not the only Shakespeare in this video, but we'll get to that. Divergent. This was one of the books that came out in the midst of like the Hunger Games dystopian fad for YA books, which was fantastic. I lived through that. I enjoyed almost every second of that, and I ate them all up. Every single one of them. Divergent, the books were fine. They were kind of mid. They were, you know, could have been a bit better. You could have done more with those books, but the film, most people will say it's not better, but it is better than the books, and that's all I needed. I could not tell you why it's better than the books, other than when I went to the cinema to see it, I had such a visceral physical reaction to some of the scenes that I was like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna be dauntless, I'm gonna be that badass, I'm gonna run across roofs, as if it was a really nice feeling while it lasted, and it was a very memorable feeling, but that's not going to happen, is it? And we move swiftly on. Game of Thrones. Now, I haven't read the books. That's a lie. I've read some of the first book. That also needs editing. The series, fantastic. I think I share the same opinion as everybody else when I say that every minute of that show was fantastic, apart from the first season. No, apart from the last season. That last season, we just pretend it doesn't exist. For our own peace of mind, our own sanity, we pretend that doesn't exist. Narnia. Now, I'm talking about this adaptation, and I don't want to hear anything more about it. Thank you. That was the best adaptation with the terrible, terrible acting from the BBC production that it was. I loved it. The Ben Barnes films came later, and I will accept that they were also pretty good. But the BBC adaptation of The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe and all of the other books that came after it, oh, so good. Just so good. And like oddly terrifying as well, which I didn't really appreciate when I was younger, but I do now. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I can now have an opinion on this because I have now read the books. Well, book and a half. I read the first one and then half the second one and realised I didn't need to finish the series. The films are better. The films make more sense, and I think having the visual element to books as weird as The Hitchhiker's Guide really just adds a whole other layer of bananas to it. It's fantastic and it really works. My only qualm with that film is that I really, really don't like Martin Freeman, and I wish it had been acted by anybody else. Literally anybody else would have been lovely. Some fantastic casting there as well. I cannot tell you how much I wanted to call my hamster Slarty Bartfast because of that film. It would have been fantastic, but I was a coward and I didn't, and I have regretted that ever since. Howl's Moving Castle. Now, I did watch the film first, which I think was the correct decision. Diana Wynne-Jones is fantastic. I loved her. I loved her writing growing up. That book is not one of the ones that I love. No, you cannot give me the Ghibli perfection that is Howl's Moving Castle and then take me to the book, which was just subpar, really. Still entertaining. Still quite funny. And I think if you haven't seen the Ghibli film, maybe read Howl's Moving Castle first so you don't get swamped with how fantastic it is. And then you are completely let down by the book. But yeah, Ghibli did a good job. I could have put quite a few Ghibli films on here, to be fair, because I have also read Castle in the Sky and The Borrowers. And that would have been cool too, but I could not remember anything about them. My last one on the better on the screen list is literally any Sherlock Holmes adaptation ever, in any form, are better than the books. I really, really don't like the way that the Sherlock Holmes books are written. I think it's wrong because it's not what I'm used to. And I'm aware of that, and I'm owning that, and I don't like it, and I will take literally any screen adaptation ever apart from that. Thank you. Yes, please. A favourite of mine, Elementary, because Lucy Liu as Watson, that is just inspired casting. It's just inspired, and I love it so much. We move on to the books. These are the ones where the books are just 100 times better. Why did you even bother to adapt these books? They should have just been left as they were. I think this one is an unpopular opinion. The Hobbit. I fucking hate the adaptation of The Hobbit. Actually, no, is that an unpopular opinion? I don't think it is. I really viscerally hated The Hobbit when it first came out. I had to wait until it came out on DVD so I could watch it in like bits and then walk away from it a bit, cool off, let all the steam come out of my ears, and then come back to it and finish it. Martin fucking Freeman as Bilbo, fuck off. No. Like, I know I hate the man, but also no. No. Why did you make the dwarves look like cartoons? Why did you make the goblins funny and not scary? They are supposed to be scary. I'm aware that it's a kid's book, but also it's an olden days kid's book, so it doesn't read like a kid's book. It's supposed to be scary. I listened to those audio tapes on repeat as a child. I know my shit. That was a terrible adaptation. It should not have been 3 films. If you haven't seen the fan edit, where they've edited all 3 films to just follow the plotline of the book, it's fantastic. There's only 2 continuity errors in the whole thing. Oh, it's so much better than the trilogy. That one is fine. I will take that one. But terrible adaptation. Why have you put Stephen Fry in it? Stop putting famous people who only play themselves in fantasy films, because it's really jarring and it doesn't work. I'm going to move on before I get really angry. Critical Role. The book is better, and by book I mean this book, the one Critical Role book that I have read. I really fucking hate the Bells Hells arc. Not even the arc. Is it the arc? Campaign. I don't enjoy that campaign. I think there's a lot of main character syndrome going on in that campaign, and I lived through 2 seasons of it already and I don't want to do it again. But Laudna is one of the more interesting characters, so I'm glad she got her own book, and I really fucking enjoyed it, and I'm really glad they got a qualified creepy horror author to do Laudna's backstory justice, because it's terrible and horrifying and very much coded horror. So much better. Dragon Age. The Dragon Age books are better. I'll give you a second to get over that. The Dragon Age books are better. And I mean that in like a storytelling sense. I feel like the writing is better. The context is much easier to pick up rather than having to read books in a game to get context, or like piece together little tidbits of information that people reference. I say people, that characters in game reference. Or you could just read a book where it's all set out in a way that is completely comprehensible and you can flick through in your own time and you don't have to fight things in between. So if we're talking in a like consuming the world kind of situation, the books are better. I do love Dragon Age. I have played the first 3 games. I didn't like the 4th. That's a whole other video. And I have played the 2nd and 3rd ones like on repeat. But the books are better. They just are. They're more enjoyable. They do a better job of turning the characters into real, contextualised, well-rounded, well-fleshed out, real people. And I'm going to stop there. I feel like I'm just repeating myself now. They're better. I said I was going to come back to Shakespeare. Twelfth Night. This one, specifically. The play is better. I didn't like this version. I found it cringy and I didn't like it. And I think that's all I have to say on the matter. The Spiderwick Chronicles. Now, granted, I have not seen the new TV show. Maybe that would usurp my opinion. But the film, it tried. It really did try. It was Freddie Highmore. I want to say it's Freddie Highmore playing twins. He really did try. Bless his cotton socks. But they did not capture just the magic and the whimsy and the sheer like fantasy crack that series is full of. You cannot capture Tony DiTerlizzi's illustrations like without just straight up animating them, and they didn't. They took inspiration, obviously, but it wasn't good enough. It wasn't good enough, and that makes me sad because I fucking love the Spiderwick Chronicles. Twilight. I don't think anyone's going to fight me on this. The books are better. The books are terrible, and Stephenie Meyer is a horrible human being, but the books were better than the films. Fight me on that. In no world can you stand there and tell me that those films are better than the books. They're enjoyably bad. I do watch them and I do enjoy them, but the books are better. Yeah, Lemony Snicket. Now, there was very little chance that anyone was ever going to be able to capture just the magnificent weirdness of Lemony Snicket's writing on screen in any kind of, like, any shape or form or production of any kind. They have tried twice. We're not talking about the Jim Carrey TV show because that can get in a bin. But the Jim Carrey film did a pretty good job. It's never going to get as good as the books. The books were fantastic. And there's nothing that can usurp them. There was just nothing like that on the shelves when I was the right age to be reading them. The Hunger Games, I think the books are better. I think this is one that I would be willing to accept criticism on if you could make a very good argument for it, but the books are better than the films. The films, I think, did an okay job. The books were more poignant, and the books went places that the films were too scared to. And I think that was important for the material that it was talking about. Percy Jackson. Now, I love this film. I love this film and I quite enjoyed what I saw of the new series, but the books are better because Rick Riordan knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing and he does it well, and he does it well repeatedly and for the right audience, and he seems like a nice man. So I'm going to root for him, okay? That's where I'm leaving this one. Logan Lerman though, oh, I used to have such a crush on him. That was the only reason I watched that film. Never Let Me Go. I have now read the book and the book is better than the film. That was one of the first films I think I saw where it had like a proper big dramatic heart-aching twist kind of thing. So it's very memorable to me, but I also just kind of wanted, I've forgotten her name, the blonde one, the main character, to just slap Keira Knightley and get it over with. Whereas in the book, I feel like she was less of a simpering kind of prick about it. And I think the book is better. And then we're going to finish it off with a strong one, Eragon. No one's going to fight me on this. That film was fucking shocking. It was bad. It was really bad. I was very excited when it came out because I fucking loved Eragon when it first came out. Those books don't hold up. It's not good. They scream like they were written by a teenage boy because they were. But I'm glad they were there for me when I read them originally when they first came out, because dragons were all I wanted to hear about. They still kind of are, but in, you know, better formats. The book is better. That film should never have been made. It was a cash grab. And we're just going to leave that there. Feel free to start arguments with me in the comments, just for this video though. This is the one where I'm feeling feisty. Other videos, you have to be nice to me. But this one, you can start arguments with me. Which of these do you absolutely not agree with me for? Can you think of any adaptations that I've missed? I deliberately went for the ones where I have read the book and seen the adaptation. But if you've got any like egregious contenders to add to this list, please do let me know what they are. I'm feeling bitchy and I want to know. Like and subscribe and all that good stuff if you would like. My Patreon is linked down below, as well as all my other social media. Thank you very much for being here, and I will see you in the next video, whenever that comes out. Bye!